Phantom Liberty gives out some of the most unique items if you make the right choices. Stuff like weapons that can spread insane demons to enemies, vehicles with amazing visual effects, and many more you can't even get from the base game. That's why today we're going to take a look at some amazing free rewards you can get from the main expansion campaign. However, also a big spoiler warning ahead, as we're going to talk about some key moments from it, as well as the decisions that will give you these items in the first place. But if you haven't been paying attention, there are 4 insane weapon mods. You can only get 1 per playthrough, and this is going to give you a bunch of strong effects. So all of them will require 1 active Chimera core, and you only get 1 per playthrough from the Chimera boss in one of the early expansion missions. So once you defeat the Chimera, you're going to spot Rosalind looking at the core on the ground. So absolutely make sure to grab it, otherwise it's going to be gone for good. But with this, you can now craft 1 of the 4 specific weapon mods. We already covered the Firecracker, which is insane because it makes power weapons to now shoot explosive rounds, which is what made our Atom Smasher 2.0 completely annihilate enemies. Explosion is really good for that build. But then there's also the Hackatomy that I tested. This is for smart weapons and has a 5% chance to apply quick hack effects when you shoot at enemies. So this can be anything like weapon glitch, even impair movement, or anything of the sort from the control category, and it can trigger rather often, but it won't be completely reliable. Then we also have the Severance. This is mostly for katanas. At below 50% HP, if you hit an enemy in the head or in the limbs, it's going to have a chance 20% to instantly dismember it and kill it on the spot. And then there's also the Wall Puncher. This is for tech weapons. It lets you to exceed the charge limit to basically push to 200% capacity, and also gives you a ton of armor penetration at no additional charge time. At number 2, we have a very elusive Hawk Assault Rifle, which you actually get from an early on mission once you bring Rosalind Myers back to Crash Street apartment. So this is going to be after you have the whole scene over there, after she sleeps and wakes up. Eventually, at the second day, you're going to find the Hawk right here next to this wall. You can even find it after you finish the entire expansion, like how it did in my case. It's still going to be there no matter what. But this comes in with an interesting effect, so headshots temporarily weaken and mark enemies. In this weakened state, enemies move slower, cannot use abilities, deal less damage, and are more prone to losing their balance, which I think is really awesome. This makes it a very good weapon if you're playing on harder difficulties or just fighting against any type of cyber psycho. But moving on to number 3, at some point in the main story you likely got this amazing R7 Charon vehicle teased. So this is something that you can eventually get a little bit later in the main story. So this starts with one of the missions called I've Seen That Face Before, in which you kind of have to hack in this vehicle and also get the identities of a bunch of characters. However, during that mission, you're going to want to wait and not override the vehicle just yet, and instead eavesdrop on 3 separate occasions during that ride. So make absolutely sure you do that, and this is going to open up another secret mission that you cannot get otherwise. But outside of that, once you're done with that mission, a bit later on, after waiting a few days, you will get a message from a character named Ashley. So she will actually tell you there's a surprise waiting for you in an enemy base, and this also opens up the moving heat side gig. So definitely go ahead, complete this, and at the end of the parking lot, you're going to find the vehicle right there, which you can now steal and make your own. And if you successfully escape, this is now going to be your permanent unlock. It's an amazing car to have, and also comes with a very special Spitfire effect that appears once you reach enough speed. So as you increase your speed, you're going to notice those flame effects appearing on the front and becoming more and more vibrant. So I think that this is one of the most unique vehicles I got my hands on in the entire game. Definitely an amazing looking concept, and definitely a car that you will want to get your hands on at some point. But moving on, we also have this really cool headpiece cosmetic item that is completely missable, and you get this from Lizzie. You have to do so during the mission called You Know My Name, right towards the end of it, as you're making your way out of the Black Sapphire Club. So as you're making your way out, eventually you're going to spot Lizzie right here next to the bar with another person. So if you talk with her and start the conversation, you're going to have the option to eventually say that you loved her style. And she's going to feel good about it, in which case she's going to offer to give you that headpiece. So in this case, I immediately grabbed it. It's the Amikiri sound cutter. It doesn't really do anything besides looking really cool, but it's the only way to get it, so I highly suggest you go ahead and do so. But this brings us to some heavy spoiler territory towards the end of the main expansion campaign, so if you don't want to see that, come back at a later date. For everybody else, we're going to talk about certain decisions that will give you some insane rewards. So I want to start things off with the Erebus, which is an absolutely insane submachine gun that can spread black hole quick hacks at enemies instantly, killing them on the spot. And there is also this really cool Militech Canto MK5, which again will spread the black wall gateway quick hack, which is going to instantly kill targets no matter what. But you can only get one or the other in the same playthrough, unless maybe you find a way to dupe the items needed, but I don't think that's possible. So definitely make sure that you make a manual save before crafting these. So to get these items in the first place, you're going to have to side with a certain character towards the later parts of the expansion. So this all happens during and after the Firestarter mission, in which you have to choose either to side and help Songbird or Solomon Reed. So to get those items, you absolutely have to side and help Solomon Reed during this moment right here, which is going to open up that side of the campaign and those endings right there. But after this mission, you also open up the Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, during which you will have to find a Netrunner. So in this case, you have to make sure to call Mr. Hands and also pay his 15,000 fee so that he can give the location of a specific Netrunner. So that Netrunner is going to be Yoko right here back at the Kabuki market. You can go ahead, talk with her and have that side of the conversation with her. However, during those moments, she also has a request of her own, in which if you choose to help, and I definitely suggest you do so, you're going to unlock the remaining part that will give you these items, or at the very least, I think they do. I completed these anyway, since it only involves sending out a quick text message in just a little bit. So choose the dialogue option that agrees with that, and then later on, once you meet with Reed and make your battle plans during the same mission, absolutely make sure that once you're done talking with him, you send that text message to Mr. Hands with the location as promised to Yoko and to him. So this is going to also give you some extra rewards on top. From this point on, you just have to follow that mission, follow Songbird until you reach the Cynosure facility, descend down below, and from this point on is when you can grab those items. So the Erebus schematic is going to be the first one, which you can get from the very first section. You first need to activate the power in the area, which is done by hacking into the Alpha, Bravo, Victor and Sierra terminals. So absolutely do that first, but don't exit the area once you're done just yet. Instead, head over back to the engineering wing. Once here, you're going to notice that there's a maintenance room that at first is locked, and this is where you're going to find that schematic. However, to gain access to it in the first place, you're going to head over first in the storage room right here in the very back. You're going to find a fuse box, but you will need 20 technical ability to reset the fuses, which is going to open up that door for you. So make sure you do that, then head over back to the maintenance room, and now you're going to be able to simply press the terminal, turn on that, and unlock the door to head over inside. And this now gives you the schematics to the Erebus you can craft later on. Now for the Militech Canto cyber deck, you're going to have to progress in the next section, the second one essentially, in which you're going to have to head over right here to this experimental prototyping room right next to the observatory room. However, you can unlock this in two ways, either by having 15 points into intelligence, which is pretty much instant, or by finding the code. So if you don't have enough intelligence, then the code is right here in the observatory room. You're going to have to make your way at the very end terminal right here past this holographic terminal, eventually overlooking that big chamber in the back. But if you take a look at the last message, new security protocols, you're going to see that the new clearance code is 714212. So if you go ahead and input this in that terminal, you can now open the experimental room, head over inside, and this is where you will find the new schematic for the Militech Canto MK6. Once both of these are acquired, you can just simply finish this part of the mission, but absolutely make sure that you also grab the behavioral system component from Cerberus at the end once it is dead. You absolutely need this as a crafting component for either of those items. And from this point on, simply finish the main story of Phantom Liberty and then wait a couple more days of in-game time. Once you do that, you should get an unknown number message, which will tell you that you can decode that behavioral chip that you just got from Cerberus. which is going to bring us back to Yoko in the Kabuki market. That is why we helped her with her cause in the previous mission. So now if you give her that chip, she's going to decode it, and once she gives it back to you, you can now use it as a crafting material. So you can only craft one or the other, but if you go ahead and craft the SMG, Erebus comes with an interesting effect. So it infuses all of your shots with dark energy from beyond the black wall. So this is highly effective against enemies with low HP. However, it seems to trigger these random quick hacks against targets. I'm not sure exactly what they do, but they do seem to help a bit with damage. However, once you take down a target with this weapon, you kind of cause this really crazy black wall glitch with the red spillover effect, exactly like how Songbird does it. So that deals a ton of damage, and it also has this really interesting and kind of scary effect. I tested this against the max stack, and unfortunately it wasn't as effective, but it does seem to deal more damage, at least on the hard difficulty I was playing with right here, compared to other guns because of the black wall glitch. So this is going to be probably much better if you were to dedicate the whole build around it. Now, if you choose to go with the Militech Canto MK6 instead, this comes with the Blackwall Gateway Quick Hack installed by default. This is always going to be available, but you also have like 4 other Quick Hack slots if you want to put in something on top as well. But the Blackwall Quick Hack is just insane, so this can actually spread to 5 enemies within 20 meters, causing lethal damage to cyberware, which translates into one-shotting them once it fully gets uploaded. Once it eliminates the first target, it then jumps to the next target, assuming that you have enough RAM left or you have the overclock active and sacrifice your HP, which is going to then upload even faster and again also provide lethal damage. And will continue doing this up until the 5th target, uploading itself faster and faster and dealing that lethal damage. So it's definitely nice to see, and again it gives that black wall spillover effect once it takes down the targets. Now, if you chose during that mission to side with Solomon Reed and betray Songbird, at the end of it you also get to fight Kurt Hansen. It's the only way, I believe, to fight him, but in my opinion is also the most rewarding path, because it gives you access to 2 of his amazing iconic weapons once you defeat him. So this includes the Bald Eagle iconic power revolver and the Wild Dog LMG. So this is possibly the best LMG in the entire game, as it gives you a huge rate of fire and critical chance as you attack more and more with it. Plus, it has an insanely high magazine size, over 140, which means coupled with the LMG ammo replenish perk in the body line, so you can basically shoot almost forever and never have to worry about reloading your ammo with this LMG. Now, if you chose instead to follow Songbird and choose to side with her, you will no longer fight Kurt. Instead, you will fight Murphy right here as you plan your escape. And you can grab the Murphy's Law one-handed club from his body. It's a pretty interesting baton, which comes in with some shock damage, and it can also stun enemies. Plus, it can increase its chances, and the strong attacks with it are pretty good. So even for that David Martinez 2.0 build, it can be a solid option if you want something that's a bit faster and can also disable enemies a little bit. Anyway, that's about it with the items. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.